So hello class, good day and welcome to the recorded presentation for our first topic for the cytogenetics. Again, this topic is all about the introduction, so we have to familiarize ourselves with the common terminologies with regard to cytogenetics, and also in this discussion, guys, we will have an overview of different things that we will talk about for the following weeks, okay? So this is the objectives for our discussion. First, we have to familiarize ourselves with the people or who are the scientists who have a contribution to genetics. And other than that, we will also talk about Gregor Mendel, for he is known as the father of modern genetics. Other than that, we will talk about the branches and the different methods in which we can apply the genetic studies. And the fourth objective, guys, is to have also an overview on the different model organisms that we may utilize. And lastly is what are the practical applications for genetics. Here are the common terminologies that we normally utilize when we are studying the subject, guys. First, before we discuss what is cytogenetics, guys, let's define what is cytology. Always remember when we say cytology, guys, this is all about the study of cells, the structure, the function, and chemistry that is related, of course, to our cells. Second, we have genetics. And when we say genetic, guys, this is all about the inherited traits and their variation. That's why if we will try to combine the cytology and genetics, guys, it means to say that, guys, we are more focusing on the internal structure of the cells, guys, specifically the chromosome. So later on, we will talk about that. Next, we have the genes. Always remember that when we say genes, guys, this is considered to be the units of heredity in which, guys, now the genes are considered to be the one responsible for the transmission of the traits or characteristics that we may absorb from our parents. The fourth one is the genome. When we say genome, guys, we are referring to the totality or the whole genetic information of an organism. Always remember, genome, guys, is the word that we utilize, okay, if we are, again, talking about the totality, okay, as a whole of a particular organism. The fifth one, guys, is the chromosome. When we say chromosome, guys, this is a structure in a cell, guys, that contain the genetic information necessary for all living organisms. Okay? Because always remember that the chromosome, guys, is a combination of various genes. That's why we will be able to see the genetic information of every living organism on a chromosome. The sixth terminology, we have the allele, which is the alternative form for our gene. We normally use the word allele, guys, if we are referring to the dominant or the recessive gene. Okay? So dominant or recessive. Later on, I will give you an example for this one. But for now, always remember that allele, again, is the alternative form for a gene. Next, we have the genotype and the phenotype. The difference between the two, guys, is that the genotype, guys, are the one that is unobservable characteristic. Okay? In Tagalog, guys, ito yung mga hindi natin kayang makita. Okay? Kaya nga tinatawag natin silang unobservable characteristics. And most of the time, when we say genotype, guys, no, we are referring to, guys, doon sa mga tinatawag natin, guys, na mga genetic material. Okay? Kaya nga siya tinawag na geno. Okay? And we also have the phenotype, which is the observable characteristics. And these are what? These are the things, guys, na ginagamit natin when we are, let's say, for example, describing a person. Because, yun nga, yun yung mga observable, yun yung mga nakikita natin. Like, for example, let's say that someone, guys, is a tall, dark, and handsome, or someone is beautiful with a long hair, yan, silky hair, yung mga yan, observable characteristic po yan. Okay, so those are the common terminologies that you will encounter. Okay, to furtherly understand what is a gene, guys, let's talk about it again. So when we say genes, again, these are the units of heredity, which is the transmission of the inherited traits, as we have said kanina. And normally, guys, the genes are considered to be the segments on a chromosome. Okay, segments of chromosome, because again, the chromosome, guys, are what? These are compilation, okay, of various genes, okay, which contain the particular genetic information. Approximately, guys, in our human genome, there are about 35,000 genes present. Okay, so it means to say that in our entire body, there are about 35,000 genes present, guys. So, um, yun po yung ano niya, makikita natin in every individual. But in some books, just to give you an idea, no? In some books, sometimes may range yan, guys, no? So, para maging pare-pareho po tayo, tandaan natin, guys, okay, that there are about, okay, para maging mas specific tayo, meron tayong 20,000, okay, to 35,000 genes present in our body. Okay, next, we have the chromosome, which contain the entire blueprint for all human life. So why is it that the chromosome contains the blueprint for all human life? It is because, guys, again, no, meron tayo dyan ng present ng ano, ng genes, guys, which are what? Responsible for the characteristics and traits of every human person. Kaya siya tinatawag, guys, na blueprint. Okay, yung ating chromosome. Next, we have here the chromosomes. The chromosomes, guys, are considered to be the dense bodies found in the nucleus of cell, meaning we will be able to locate the chromosome inside the nucleus. Again, no? Nasa nucleus po ang ating chromosome. And they contain, again, all the genetic information necessary to create a living being. And who are the persons involved who who have discovered the chromosome? Guys, we have Carl Wilhelm von Naegeli. He was able to discover the chromosome when he studied a plant, okay? And we also have Walter Fleming, which he also discovered the chromosome, guys, when he used the salamander as his model organism. But just to give you an idea, guys, Carl Wilhelm von Naegeli and Walter Fleming are not the people who named the chromosome as chromosome. Instead, we have Heinrich Waldeyer. Heinrich Waldeyer, guys, is the person, no, who coined or proposed. He's the person who proposed the use of the word chromosome para at least hindi pumalito ang mga early scientists nung sila ay nag-usap-usap, no? Kung ano ba yung mga tinutukoy nila. Okay, so an example, guys, is yung nandiyan po sa ating left side. That is a representation of a chromosome, yung mga yan. Okay, and here in the next slide, guys, it says that chromosome are pairs, okay, or chromosome pairs rather, look a bit like stick figures of people. Okay, parang stick figure daw, no? Nung bata kayo, parang drawing kayo ng mga tao, di ba? Pero mga stick-stick yan. And it contains what? It contains two arms, okay, and two legs. Yan po yan. And in the middle portion of your chromosome, guys, you will be able to see the centromere because it is the one that binds together the arms and the legs of a chromosome. By the way, guys, in some books, baka mamaya po may mabasa kayo. Now, always remember that the short arm, guys, no, itong nakikita nyo parang arms na nasa taas na portion, guys, they call that as the P arm. And the lower arm, guys, no, or the long arms are what? They are called as the Q arm. Okay, in some books. So kapag na-encounter nyo po yung P arm, Q arm, guys, we are referring to you the segments of your chromosomes, guys. Okay, it could either be, again, the short arm or the legs of your chromosome. So now, for us to be able to study the chromosome, guys, we have a specific test that we perform, and that is the what we call as karyotyping or karyotype. Okay, because without the karyotype, guys, we will not be able to study the chromosome because inside the nucleus, okay, inside the nucleus, guys, the chromosomes are normally mixed up together or they are what? They are jumbled. Okay, ibig sabihin po, no, nakamix sila. Sama-sama kasi sila doon, no? They are free floating inside the nucleus. And um, when we utilize the method of karyotyping, guys, what do? We normally arrange, okay? We arrange your chromosome based on their sizes, from the largest to the smallest size. Okay, that is the arrangement of your chromosome based on their sizes. Kaya meron po tayo dyan, no, on the left, upper left, no, not upper left, but upper right rather, guys, no? Yung nakikita nyo po dyan sa upper right, that is a representation on how we arrange the chromosomes when we utilize your karyotyping from the largest up to the smallest. So approximately, guys, there are about 46 chromosomes in every human cells. Okay? 46 chromosome po ang nakikita natin sa bawat cells na nakikita natin saan? Again, sa nucleus. Okay? In some books, guys, no, ginagamit nila pala hindi 46 chromosome but what? 23 pairs of chromosome because normally when we are arranging the chromosomes, guys, we look for the chromosomes, guys, na magkakapareho kapag tinitignan po natin sila. Okay? On this 23 pairs of chromosomes, guys, we have 22 autosomal pairs and we have 2 sex chromosomes. Okay? For the sex chromosome, guys, we have the what we call as X chromosome and we also have the what we call as Y chromosome. Now, always remember that when there is the presence of two X chromosome, guys, it means to say that gender or the sex of the patient, guys, is female. While when there is one X and one Y, the sex of your patient, guys, or your client is a male. Okay? So, yan po yun, no? And if you will try to check yung nasa left side natin, guys, no? The Y chromosome is much smaller than your X chromosome po. Okay? Yan po yun. Kaya nga, no? Just to give you an idea, no? Let's say, for example, the patient or the client, they don't know what their gender is, no? Pwede po nating tignan yung kanilang sex chromosome. Paano ba ito pumapasok? Let's say, for example, di ba, may mga nababalitaan kayo before. Let's say, for example, KMJS mo na yan, no? Kay Jessica Soho. Anong ginagawa, no? Mayroong, let's say, for example, dalawang bata, hindi nila alam kung ano ba talaga yung gender nila kasi anong nangyari, no? Biglang nung bata sila, lalaki sila tignan. Tapos habang tumatanda sila, guys, let's say for example, biglang nagkakaroon sila ng paglaki ng kanilang mga dibdib, no? We call that as gynecomastia pag sa mga lalaki. And biglang yung iba naman nagkakaroon bigla ng regla or nagkakaroon ng menstruation. So, for us to better understand, okay, kung ano ba talaga yung kanilang sex, guys, we perform karyotyping and we look for the X and Y chromosome. Okay, yan po yung tinitignan natin. Again, dalawang X para sa female and then X and Y para po yan sa male patients natin. Next, we also have the DNA. Okay, for the DNA, guys, always remember that the DNA are located on a gene because a gene is composed of the molecule known as our DNA, which stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. The complement set of genetic information characteristic of an organism constitute a genome. And the DNA is a very long protein molecule that is composed of base pairs called nucleotides that are arranged on a structure of phosphate and deoxyribose. Okay, so iyan po yung nandyan sa left corner natin. Okay, kung makikita ninyo, no? Meron tayo dyan sugar phosphate, and we also have yung mga tinatawag natin na mga base pairs. Okay, like for example, we have the adenine and thymine, and we also have the cytosine and the guanine. Yan po yung mga base pairs natin. Okay, now, okay, always remember guys that the DNA is different from your RNA because yung mga DNA po natin, sila po ay mga deoxyribose while the RNA guys, no, yung mga RNA natin, yung mga yan guys ay mga ribose lang po. Okay, ribose lang po sila. Now, since ribose lang yan, no, pag titignan natin or pinag-aralan natin ng mga RNA guys, tandaan ninyo, yung thymine po, napapalitan po yan. Okay, nawawala po yan. Ano po yung kapalit niyan? We have the what we call as the uracil. Okay, uracil guys, kapag present po yan, ibig sabihin po, the structure is an RNA po, no? And konting trivia lang guys, no? Konting trivia lang po, no? Yung ating mga DNA guys, kaya sila guys, no, nagkakasya sila sa mga DNA natin, ay sa mga DNA tuloy, sa mga genes rather, at kung bakit parang ang liit tignan ng ating mga chromosome guys, because we have a particular protein guys that is responsible for the coiling or the compression of our genes. Okay? And what is that protein guys? We have the what we call as histone. Histone is the protein responsible for the coiling of DNA. Okay? Coiling of DNA. Anong protein ang responsible again? We have the histone. Okay? And next, we have the genes and the alleles. Okay? So for the gene guys, anong sabi nga natin dito kanina? Units of heredity that are responsible for the transmission of inherited traits. Kaya ang sabi dyan, a gene is a heritable factor that controls a specific characteristic. Okay, yun nga yung tinatawag natin ng mga heritable traits po natin. Again, no, saan natin nakikita ang genes? It is located on a chromosome. Because chromosomes, again, are segments of genes. Okay? Sabi natin kanina, again, in the entire human genome, gaano kadami ang genes natin? We have about 20,000 up to 35,000 genes po. And we also have the alleles, which is the alternative form of gene. Now, kailan po natin gagamitin ang word na allele? If we are more specific, what is the eye color of the patient? It could either be, okay, brown or blue or gray or whatsoever na alam nating color. Lagi natin tatandaan, kapag mas specific, we use the word allele. Okay? And konting trivia ulit, another trivia guys. Alam nyo ba na ang brown color ng mga mata guys, that is what? That is the most dominant color of the eyes. Okay? Kaya po, no, wag niyo sasabihin na itim ang kulay ng mata because it is not black guys, but instead that is brown or dark brown po, no? Okay lang po natin makikita ang itim na mata guys kapag po patay na ang pasyente. Okay? Kapag patay na, itim po ang mata. Kaya pag tinanong kayo, no, ng mga classmate ninyo, ng mga nanay, tatay ninyo, o kaya ng mga kapatid ninyo, kuya, anong kulay ng mata ko? Sabihin nyo guys, dark brown, hindi po itim ha. O kaya tingnan nyo yung mga katabi ninyo, for example, no? Kapag hindi na gumagalaw, tingnan nyo guys yung mga mata nila, baka mamaya kulay itim na, no? Kala natin na tulala lang kasi sobrang daming information na pumapasok sa kanila, guys, no? Yung pala namatay na sila kasi itim na yung mata nila. Okay? And next, we have, guys, here, what is cytology? Sabi natin kanina, cytology is the study of cells. Okay? Bakit? Bakit siya study of cells? Kasi from the word cyto. When we say cyto, guys, it means that we are referring to a cell. Okay? And logy, this is the study. Okay? So, cyto, cell, logy, study. So, study of cell. And always remember that the cell, guys, in our body, guys, this is considered to be the functional unit of life. Bakit siya tinawag na functional unit of life? Because a cell can carry out various function, guys, no? Like for example, we have the what we call as molecule transport. energy conversion, and reproduction. Yan po yung mga main functions of our cell in the body. And there are two types of cells in our body, guys. In our body tuloy. There are two types of cell rather. We have the what we call as the prokaryotic cell, and we also have the what we call as the eukaryotic cell, which is our discussion next week. So please do an advanced reading about those cells, okay? But for now, what is a prokaryotic cell? When we say prokaryotic cell, guys, these are simpler, smaller cells, guys, than your eukaryotic cell. And prokaryotic cells, guys, don't have the presence of nucleus. Okay, kaya natin silang i-separate sa mga eukaryotic cell natin. And normally, the prokaryotic cells, guys, are what? These are your bacteria. Yung mga bacteria po natin, always remember, they are prokaryotic cells, guys. No? And since they don't have a nucleus, guys, no, saan natin ngayon makikita yung tinatawag natin na chromosome? Nakikita natin sila, guys, doon sa nucleoid, no, ng ating mga prokaryotic cells, guys, no. And if you will try to check kung nasa ating right corner ng ating slide ngayon, no, yung ating chromosome, guys, ayun, para silang free floating because normally yung chromosome natin nandiyan yan nga, guys, sa nucleoid natin na kung saan undefined nuclear region po yan ng mga prokaryotic cell, guys. Okay, and other than the chromosome na makikita natin sa mga prokaryotic cell natin, guys, we have the what we call as your ribosomes. Okay, we have the ribosomes, guys, no? For ATP production. Okay, yan yung ginagawa ng ribosomes natin sa mga prokaryotic cell. And if we will try to compare naman our eukaryotic cell, guys, no, the eukaryotic cells, guys, are considered to be a much larger or greater cell than your prokaryotic cell, guys, because of the presence of various organelles or the what we call as the membrane-bound compartments. Okay? Yung mga organelles po natin, mga membrane-bound po yung mga yan. Okay? And because of those organelles, guys, our eukaryotic cell are much easier to check under the microscope. Kaya nga, di ba, let's say for example, nung nag-aaral tayo ng mga bacteria para doon sa mga previous students ko, nahihirapan silang mag-focus ng mga bacteria because under the microscope, ang mga prokaryotic cell, guys, no, napakaliit nga po sila. And just imagine, again, the eukaryotic cell, guys, 1,000 times mas malaki sila kaysa sa mga prokaryotic cell, kaya guys, no, ang dali nating makita ang mga eukaryotic cell po. And what's important about the eukaryotic cell, guys, is that they have the presence of nucleus. When a cell have the presence of nucleus, guys, we can say that the cell, guys, is a true cell because of the presence of a nucleus. Okay? Nandiyan na rin po pala yun, no? Dito sa ating slide. No? Nucleus gives the eukaryote as true cell. Okay, because of the presence of the nucleus. Now, what is cytogenetics? Cytogenetics, guys, is the study of chromosomes. Okay, so ibig sabihin, our target, since our subject is cytogenetics, we will more talk about the chromosomes, specifically. Okay, specifically, we will know about the normal and abnormal chromosomes, as well as what are the chromosomal abnormalities, or in some books, they call this as the chromosomal aberrations. Okay? So, kapag nakita nyo po yon, we are only referring to abnormalities, yung mga mali po doon sa isang chromosome. Okay? Next, we have the branches of genetics. First, we have the classical genetics. For the classical genetics, always remember this refers to the study of the laws of heredity transmission in living organism, and this have started, or it began with Mendel's study of inheritance in the garden peas. Okay, so to simplify yung binasa ko, no? When we say classical genetics, guys, we are referring to the study of how, okay, a characteristic is being transmitted on every living organism. Okay, so heredity, no? And we also have the population genetics, okay, in which this is the study of genes and populations It could either be animals, plants, or microbes that provides information on the past migrations, evolutionary relationships, and the extent of mixing among different varieties and species, and also adaptation to the environment. Okay, that's why we can also call the population genetics as the evolutionary genetics. Evolutionary genetics, no? So kapag na-encounter nyo po sa ibang libro, sinasabi, evolutionary genetics, we are only referring to population genetics, guys. Okay? Oh, kung kung i-explain natin ano pong ibig sabihin nitong definition na to. When we say population genetics, guys, we are referring to what are the changes that happens, okay, on the population as time go by. Okay, kaya nga siya sabi dyan, ano? Evolution and adaptation to the environment. Another branch of genetics, guys, we have the cytogenetics na paulit-ulit na nating binabanggit kanina pa. Again, pag sinabi nating cytogenetics, this is the study of the chromosomes. Specifically, the number and the morphology of the chromosome. If we have problems with the number and morphology, expect that you will encounter abnormalities or aberrations. Okay? Next, we have the molecular genetics. The molecular genetics, guys, is the study of the molecular structure of DNA, specifically what happens to your DNA. Okay? Like for example, what will happen when they are undergoing replication. Also, what happens when there is transcription, translation, yung mga yan, no? Basta lagi nating tatandaan lahat ng nangyayari sa DNA, no? Kaya po yang sagutin ni molecular genetics. Okay? And now, here we have the timeline for the history of cytogenetics. Okay? Again, sabi natin kanina, it started in 1860s, no? During the time of Gregor Mendel, specifically guys, no, nung siya po ay nakapag-publish na ng kanyang study about the garden peas. Okay, and as time goes by, if you will try to check guys, no, meron po tayo dyan ang mga tinatawag natin guys na mga advancements on genetics guys, because syempre as the time goes by, a lot of advancements. O kaya marami pong nangyayari as time goes by because again nga, no, marami tayo yung nadi-discover. Okay, kaya pansinin nyo dito, noong 1900s, nagkaroon tayo ng rediscovery of Mendel's work. During the 1950s, nagkaroon tayo ng application of the molecular genetics. And 1970s, nag-start naman na po ang recombinant DNA technology and hanggang pa advance na tayo ng pa-advance. And konting trivia lang din guys, o another trivia, no? Alam nyo ba na ang genetics guys is one of the branch of science na kino-consider as late bloomer. Bakit po siya late bloomer guys? Kasi po, dati guys, no, akala nila guys, no, basta buhay ka, okay na. Kaya nga, sabi dyan, 1860s lang nag-start, guys, ang cytogenetics talaga, or the genetics itself, okay? Compared to other branch of science. And here, we have, guys, okay, the history, again, of the genetics. Specifically, let's divide, okay, kung ano yung mga nangyari dun sa timeline. So, first, we have the classical genetics. Okay. So, ito guys, yung mga nakikita nyo dyan. Sabi nyo, sir, kanina, 1860s lang nag-start. Bakit may nakikita po kami dyan, 350 BC, 1600s? Pero kasi guys, para lang at least magkaroon kayo ng idea, no? Kahit pa paano naman yung mga scientists dati guys, is meron na silang idea about the transfer of characteristics or traits po. Pero hindi pa po clear sa kanila. Kaya, ayan, inaaral natin ngayon para kahit pa paano, alam natin kung ano yung nangyari, ano yung mga past events, okay, that related sa genetics, guys. So first, we have Bazopolo and Kirkanidu, okay? Bazopolo, Kirkanidu, guys, are what? They are some of the early scientists, guys, no, before Aristotle, guys, in which they have created a book in which doon sa book nila, guys, may kita, guys, no, na nilalagay na nila guys, no? Yung mga um, characteristics or yung mga genetic concepts rather, no, na nakikita nila sa mga kings and gods po nila. Yan po yung kay Bazopola and Carcanidu. Pero ang pinaka sikat po guys na scientist nung early days guys, we have Aristotle. Kaya nga pa ulit-ulit nyo naririnig basta may science na pinag-uusapan, no? According to Aristotle, no, he proposed that tumors serve as bearers of traits. Ano pong ibig sabihin yan? No? Sabi ni Aristotle guys, humors daw. Let's say for example, yung blood, okay, the blood, the phlegm, okay? O di kaya yung mga bile, black bile man yan or yellow bile, diyan daw po no, nanggagaling yung mga traits natin. Okay? And next, we have William Harvey. William Harvey, guys, proposed the theory of epigenesis. Okay? When we say epigenesis, guys, it states that an organism develops from the first fertilized egg. Okay? And there is a succession. That's why the egg, guys, no, na na-fertilize po, nagiging adult form po sila. And bakit kaya nagkaroon po tayo ng tinatawag natin na epigenesis? Because during the day, before William Harvey, guys, may tinatawag naman tayo, guys, na reformationism. Ano po yung reformationism, guys? Reformationism, guys, is the time in which, okay, the scientists, guys, na yung mga early scientists natin, they believe that people or humans are coming from what? No? From the heads of the sperm. Okay? Mga miniature adult daw po tayo sa head ng mga sperm. And they use the term homunculus for that. Okay? So, homunculus, maliliit na tao kayo. No? So, anong ginagawa nyo sa head ng mga sperm? Ano, tumatakbo kayo doon? Tulog ba kayo doon? Ganyan, no? Kaya, si William Harvey, ayan, pinag-aralan niya yung mga egg cells, guys, no? Kaya nalaman niya na epigenesis po ang nangyayari. By the way, who is the person, guys, na related dito sa preformationism? Hindi ko po kasi ilagay dito sa ating slide. We have, guys, no, Nicholas, okay? Nicholas Hart Soper. Okay? Nicholas Hart Soper po. Siya po yung parang proponent ng Reformationism. And around 1830s, guys, nagkaroon tayo ng tinatawag natin naman na cell theory. Who proposed the cell theory, guys? We have Matthias Schliden and Theodor Swan, no? In which they state that all living organisms are composed of basic structural units po that are called as cells. And guys, no, yun nga po, diyan tayo nanggagaling. We are arising from pre-existing cells. All living organisms, whether animals, humans, and plants, we are coming from pre-existing cells. So, bakit kaya nila or bakit kaya tayo nagkaroon ng cell theory? Because again, during the early times, guys, may tinatawag tayo, let's say for example, na spontaneous generation. Na kung saan yung mga early scientists, guys, na naglalaban-laban sila, saan ba nanggagaling ang mga living organisms, no? Sabi ng iba, galing daw po tayo sa, let's say for example, sa mga non-living organisms, like for example, bato. Sa bato ka daw po nang galing, kailangan lang ng vital force, no? Let's say for example, kailangan ng hangin. Okay, vital force daw 'yon, no? Para ikaw or para yung bato, guys, is maging living organism. Okay? And it has been counteracted by biogenesis na pinropose naman ni Rudolf Virchow. Okay? And sinuportahan guys ng ibang scientist, guys, si Rudolf Virchow. Kaya nagkaroon tayo ng tinatawag na cell theory. Okay? Yun po. Next, we also have Okay, again, for this slide, guys, the basic theory associated with classical genetics provided explanations for the transmission of traits from parents to offspring. Kasi nga, guys, ang ating classical genetics, guys, ano nga ang ibig sabihin nito? This is the study of how heredity is being transferred from one living organism to another living organism. That is your classical genetics. And there are two proponents, no, na kilala dito under ng classical genetics natin maliban na sa mga pinag-usapan natin kanina. We have Charles Darwin and we also have Gregor Mendel. Okay? So for Charles Darwin, guys, he published during 1859, no, a book titled On the Origin of Species, in which in this book, he describes his ideas about evolution. Okay? Darwin's thinking led him to formulate the theory of natural selection, which presented an explanation of the mechanism of evolutionary change. So later pag-uusapan natin yung natural selection pagdating naman sa population genetics. But for now, I want you to know, no, na yan po ay galing, guys, kay Charles Darwin. In 1866, no, the history of genetics is generally held to have started due to the study of Gregor Mendel. That's why Gregor Mendel, again, is the father of genetics, guys. No, anong ginawa niya? Pinag-aralan niya po, guys, ang garden teas. Okay, later pag-uusapan din natin yan. So now going back to Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin proposed that existing species arose by descent with modification from ancestral species. Sabi ni Charles Darwin, no? Guys, that as time goes by, there are some changes that happens on every living organism. It has something to do with what happens with the environment, adaptation. Okay? So, yan po, no? So, bakit kaya na-observe ni Charles Darwin po yun, guys? No? Kasi si Charles Darwin po, guys, isa po siyang manlalakbay. Okay? Kung saan-saan po siya pumupunta. And as he go to other places, guys, no? He observed that every country, every population has their own characteristics and they are different from each other. Okay? It depends on the ancestral species. Let's say for example, si Charles Darwin pumunta ng western countries. Napansin niya, matatangkad, mapuputi yung mga tao. Okay? Pagdating ng Asia, no? Yung mga tao maliliit, no? O kung di kaya mapuputi or either pwede rin namang maiitim sila. So yan po yung mga napansin ni Charles Darwin. And no, tinignan niya, pinag-aralan niya, no, yung mga paintings for example ng mga unang tao pa, no, na mga ninuno ng mga sinaunang tao, guys. No, napansin niya nag-iiba-iba. Kaya nagkaroon siya ng tinatawag natin ngayon na natural selection. So ano ang natural selection, guys? Natural selection states that individuals with heritable traits allow them to adapt to their environment, are able to survive and reproduce than those with less adaptive traits. Kaya nga, guys, pansinin ninyo, as time goes by, there's a lot of changes that happens on every living organism. Natural selection po yun. O kundi kaya, guys, pansinin ninyo, bakit kaya may mga species, guys, no, na dati ang dami ng number nila, but now, no, due to global warming, bakit kaya umonte yung number ng species? Okay, it has something as well to the adaptation. And sabi nga ni Charles Darwin, based on natural selection, how a species adapts to their environment. Okay? So another thing, bakit kaya yung mga sinaunang tao, no, mapapanga sila, mabubuhok sila? Maybe it has something to do with the environment. Kasi dati, let's say for example, wala namang apoy, no? Kaya kumakain ng hilaw ng mga karne yung mga tao, kaya mapapanga sila. O kung kaya dati, guys, malamig, kaya mabubuhok yung mga tao. Tapos tayo ngayon, no, panipisa ng buhok, guys. Okay? Kasi ayun, guys, ang naging adaptation natin sa global warming na kung saan onti-onting umiinit naman ang Earth. Okay? So, yun po. Adaptive po yun. Okay? Or adaptation rather. And next, We have Gregor Mendel. Gregor Mendel published a paper describing how traits are passed from one generation to the other. And paano siya nag-publish ng paper niya? First, guys, no, nag-undergo siya ng study or experimentation using the pea plants as his model. Okay? As his model, rather. Paka-arte. So, he proposed that traits are passed from parents to offspring in a predictable manner, meaning we can predict, okay, how characteristics or traits can be transferred from the parents to their offspring nga po. Okay? Kaya pwede natin sabihin ilan ang magkakaroon ng mahabang buhok na magaganda, no? Straight ang buhok, mapuputi, ganyan, no? Predictable po 'yan. Okay? So we have to think Gregor Mendel for that. Okay? O kani kaya kung hindi maganda, no? Ano kayong kabaliktaran nun? Siguro mabait. Okay? Yun po. No? So he further concluded that each trait in pea plants is controlled by what? By a pair of factors which are now known as the genes, guys, no? And that members of a gene pair separate from each other during gamete formation. Always remember, pag sinabi natin gamete formation, guys, we are referring to the egg cells and the sperm cells. Okay? So now, why did Gregor Mendel use the pea plants? Okay, because the pea plants, guys, are available in many varieties, and we can easily understand or we can easily observe the characteristics and traits of the pea plant. Okay, Mendel also have a strict control over which plants na gusto niya, guys, yung gusto niyang ipag-mate po, no? Strict control po yun. And however, Mendel could also move pollen from one plant to the other, and we call that, guys, as cross-pollination. Okay? Kasi nga, anong sabi natin kanina? We have a strict control on how we mate, guys, no? The pea plants. Okay? But, other than that, guys, no? Also, remember that the pea plants, guys, have both the sexual organs, the stamen, and carpal na nakikita natin, guys, sa mga flowering plants po natin, no? And, but, let's say for example, pinabayaan lang natin ang pea plants in nature. Kaya po ba niyang i-fertilize ang sarili niya? Yes, guys, no? In nature, pea plants typically self-fertilize. Okay? Fertilizing over with their own sperm. So, paano kaya yun, guys, no? Sir, ano po yun, sir? Dalawang bulaklak magdidikit? Guys, hindi, no? With the help, guys, of external factors like, for example, yung mga insects like bees, yung mga langaw, pag yan po, guys, na dumapo sa mga bulaklak, guys, yung pollen po ng isang bulaklak, like for example, yung pollen ng stamen, guys, no, is mapupunta doon saan? Sa carpal ng female flower po. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ngayon ng mga bunga. Okay? Now, as continuation of Gregor's Mendel study, we have what we call as the chromosome theory of inheritance, in which it states that heredity is dependent on the genes contained in the structures called chromosomes. Kasi nga nandiyan nga po ang genes natin. So laging tatandaan, guys, no, that heredity are located on the chromosomes because of the various genes that we will be able to see on the chromosomes. The chromosomes were contributed to the individual by the gametes. Okay? And we also have what we call as the diploid number. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, in some books, 46 chromosomes. Okay? Chromosomes. And in some books, guys, no, may tinatawag naman na 23 pairs of chromosome. Okay? And kapag nakita nyo po, guys, no, na 23 pairs, ibig sabihin yan, guys, you are referring to the diploid number. Kasi nga, pinag-prepare po natin sila. So, this is the characteristic number of chromosome a eukaryote has in most of its cells. And the chromosomes in diploid cells exist in pairs called homologous chromosomes. Okay? When we say homologous, always remember, they are the same. Okay? Ano ang kabaliktaran ng homologous? We have what we call as the heterozygous. Or in some books, homozygous, and then in some books, heterozygous naman. Kapag heterozygous, ibig sabihin po nun, guys, hetero means guys, no, they are what? They are different. Okay, different. Okay, yan po, hetero. Also, chromosomes behave differently during the two forms of cell division. Okay, it depends kung anong cell division, cell cycle ang i-follow ng ating chromosome. And what are the two types of cell division, guys? We have the what we call as mitosis, and we also have meiosis. Okay, in mitosis, the chromosomes are copied and distributed to each daughter cell, meaning the chromosomes, guys, kinokopya lang po siya. Okay, copied nga po ang sabi dyan. Kung ano ang nakikita natin sa parent cell natin, guys, yun ang makikita natin sa mga daughter cells natin. While, okay, in meiosis, the cells receive only one chromosome from each chromosome pair, and the resulting number of the chromosome is called the haploid number. Because normally, for our meiosis, guys, ito naman ang responsible, guys, para sa formation ng tinatawag natin, guys, na mga gametes, which is on the other slide, which is this one. No? Finally, the chromosomal theory of inheritance states that inherited traits are controlled by genes residing in chromosomes faithfully transmitted through gametes, maintaining genetic continuity from generation to generation. Oh, by the way, guys, no, nabanggit natin kanina ang haploid number. Bakit kaya haploid number at hindi diploid number ang ginagamit natin? Because normally, guys, no, kaya siya tinawag na haploid number because 50-50 po yan, guys, no? Para maging diploid number siya. Because 50% will be coming from the mother, 50% will be coming from the father. Okay? At kapag napag-combine po natin, yung dalawang yan, no? Yung 50-50 na yan, guys, we will now achieve the diploid number. Kaya haploid number po, yan po ay sa meiosis po, guys. Next, we have other people involved with classical genetics, guys. First, we have in 1900s, guys, we have the what we call as the rediscovery of Mendel. And we call that now, guys, as Mendelian law of inheritance. And what happens during this time? Hugo de Vries, Karl Correns, and Erich von Schermach, they have tried to improve the study of Gregor Mendel, guys. Kaya siya tinawag na rediscovery of Mendel or Mendelian law of inheritance. We also have in early 20th century, we have Walter Sutton and Theodore Boveri. And what happens during this time, guys? We have advancement on microscopy. So what happened dito, guys? No? Since may advancement tayo sa microscopy, guys, we were better able to understand, guys, how a chromosome acts on or inside a cell, ano ang nangyayari sa ating mga chromosome. Okay, so mas na-define palalo ang chromosome theory of inheritance. We also have William Bateson in 1905. He proposed the usage of the word genetics. Kasi dati, guys, no, hindi pa po genetics ang ginagamit natin na word, no, ng mga early scientists. At para magkaintindihan sila kung ano yung pinag-uusapan nila, guys, no, ayan, si William Bateson, pinropose niya or kinoin niya ang paggamit, guys, ng word na genetics. So, now, no, genetics is a formal branch of biology. Okay, noong 1905 po yan. And also, during that time, guys, no, William Bateson worked with Panet, which is another scientist, no? And they have made a significant findings on genetic linkages. Napag-uusapan naman natin to, guys, pagdating naman ng midterm. Okay? In 1915, basic principles of Mendelian genetics had been applied to a wide variety of organisms because during this time, guys, no, they are not only contented using plants, guys. Instead, they have look for an alternative instead of plants daw po. Ano pa kaya ang pwede nating gamitin para mag-aral tayo ng genetics? And one of the most notable na nakita nilang model organism, guys, is the Drosophila melanogaster, which is also known as the fruit fly. Okay, yan po yung tinatawag natin na fruit fly. Okay? Yung mga lumilipad kapag meron tayong mga sobrang hinog or medyo luma na mga prutas, guys, no? Drosophila melanogaster po dyan. Okay? So, yan po. No? In 1925 naman, Thomas Hunt Morgan, together with other geneticists, developed Furtherly, the Mendelian chromosome theory of heredity and anong ginamit nila dyan na model organism, guys? Again, that is your Drosophila melanogaster po. So now, bakit kaya Drosophila melanogaster ang ginagamit ng mga early scientists, no? Because the fruit fly, guys, is easily acquired. Madali po silang makuha. Other than that, no, prolific po siya. Madaling ma-identify yung mga changes na nangyayari as time goes by, no? Also, they have a short life cycle. Pag sinabi natin short life cycle, after few weeks, guys, no, the fruit fly can achieve the adult form. Okay, and they can what? They can be used again for breeding. Also, there is a prominent characteristic that can be used in sex determination. Okay? So, yan po. So, bakit kaya madaling i-profile po ang ating mga fruit fly, guys? Just to give you an idea, meron po tayong pre-pair of autosomal chromosome na responsible para dun sa mga characteristics na nakikita natin. No? Like, for example, white yung mata, red yung mata. Yan po yan. Profiling po yan, guys. Okay? O kaya yung mga striations. Striations also, guys, are profile din po yan. Okay? So, yun po. No? Those are the reason. Kaya, guys, just to give you an idea, pinag-iisipan ko pa kung ito yung ipapa-research ko sa inyo na kung saan manguhuli kayo ng fruit fly. Tapos, at the end of the day, papadamihin nyo sila, ibibreed nyo sila hanggang ma-achieve natin ang certain generation po. Okay? So, basta guys, wag muna mahuli ng fruit fly. Baka mamaya, no, pagkarinig nyo ng recording na to, nang huli na kayo, hindi naman pala to yung ipapagawa ko sa inyo. Again, pinag-iisipan ko pa lang po siya. Okay? Next, we have molecular genetics. So for molecular genetics, guys, this is the study of the agents that pass information from generation to generation. That is your molecular genetics. As we have said kanina, when we are talking about molecular genetics, guys, always remember that we are focusing on the DNA. Okay? And also just to give you some ideas furtherly, guys, no, all of the things that cannot be explained by classical genetics, guys, we can go to molecular genetics because normally it can be answered by molecular genetics. Like for example, how do or what makes up a gene and what happens during gene replication? Okay, yung mga yan, no? And also what does, okay, or what happens, okay, when there is the presence of genes, and what differences could happen when there are genes that are exposed to each other. Si molecular genetics po ang makakasagot po niyan. Okay? So pag-usapan natin yan, guys, as time goes by dito sa subject po na ito. So when did molecular genetics started? Okay, during the 1920s po, guys, because some of the scientists wanna know if what structure of the chromosome, guys, no, whether the protein or the DNA, which between the two is considered to be responsible for inheritance. Okay, gusto nilang malaman, ano po, protein po ba or DNA po ang responsible for inheritance? Okay, 1920s po yan. But in the 1920s, guys, no, si Frederick Griffith, guys, no, he discovered what we call the phenomenon of transformation. Bakit kaya niya na-discover ang phenomenon of transformation? Because Frederick Griffith, guys, studied bacteria in which, no, he observed that even though a bacteria is already dead, okay, namatay na po ang bacteria, it can still pass, okay, its genetic material on a living bacteria. Okay, let's say for example, no, patay na po ang bacteria, tapos, guys, nakapag-form siya ng mga DNA fragments, no? Nagkaroon ng plasmid. Yung plasmid pala, guys, pwede pa pong ma-transfer from a dead bacteria no? Tapos kakainin po yung DNA fragments, guys, ng isang living bacteria. Ang ending, guys, no? Nagkakaroon tayo ngayon ng tinatawag natin, for example, na, ano? Antibiotic resistance. That's why it's important, guys. Okay, that's why it's important na ano po, na totally eliminated po ang mga bacteria, guys, kapag tayo po ay nag-undergo ng treatment. Okay? 1928 po yung nalaman. Okay? Also, in 1944, okay, Oswald Theodore Avery, Colin McLeod, and Maclean McCarthy, guys, no, was able to identify that the DNA is the sole, okay, structure, okay, of a cell responsible for inheritance. Okay, hindi daw po si protein. Instead, si DNA daw po ang responsible for inheritance. Okay, 1944 na lamang. And other than them, no? Other than those persons, sila McLeod, sila Avery, guys, we also have in 1952, we have Hershey Chase, no? In which Hershey Chase naman, guys, no? Ang pinag-aralan niya naman, guys, are the viruses. That viruses can infect bacteria. Okay, they can infect bacteria. Okay, and what happens to bacteria, guys, no? Pwede po silang mamatay kasi nga ini-infect na po sila. Okay, and ano po yung nangyari doon? Si DNA daw po, ini-incorporate ni virus po doon, guys, sa mga bacteria. That's why we also have now the what we call as the mga bacteriophage. Okay, 1952. Sino ang responsible dyan? Si Hershey Chase po. In 1953 naman, si James Watson, together with Francis Crick, they were able to furtherly understand the structure of DNA, and they were able to study the structure of DNA because of Rosalind Franklin. Rosalind Franklin, guys, accidentally captured, okay, the DNA, okay, the helical structure of DNA using what? The X-ray crystallography, okay? X-ray crystallography, guys, has the capability, guys, no, to capture the DNA structure, okay? In 1958, we have Michelson and Stahl, and they have performed the what we call as equilibrium density gradient centrifugation. Okay? Centrifugation, guys, no? And they were able to conclude that the DNA replication, guys, is a sensitive this is a sensitive process, guys, no? So, kaya sabi diyan semi-conservative po. Ibig sabihin po, guys, no, madali nating maapektuhan, guys, ang DNA replication kapag, guys, no, basta-basta lang natin hinandle ang DNA replication. Kaya, no, centrifugation po yung ginamit nila diyan. Also, we have Robert Sennheimer, in which in 1985, he pioneered the discussions to sequence the human genome. Because Robert Sennheimer, hindi naman po siya nakokontento, guys, no? Doon, guys, sa pag-aaral ng mga plants, ng mga animals. That's why he wants to study the human genome. Kailan po nangyari yon? Noong 1985. Next, we have in 1986, Fred Sanger was able to develop the what we call now as the PCR testing, or the polymerase chain reaction. That's why nowadays, guys, we can easily identify if we have an infection, a disease caused, let's say, for example, by a virus. Okay, si Fred Sanger po dyan. Okay? In 1996 naman, no? The first ever cloning was been successful. And what animal was the first cloned animal, guys? It is a sheep named, okay, Dolly. Si Dolly po ang una, no, na-clone na animal, guys. Okay? At ano po yung klaseng animal na to? Sheep po. Sino ang proponent nito? Sino ang taong responsible for the cloning of the sheep? We have Ian Wilmot po. Si Ian Wilmot, guys, ang proponent, no? Or siya ang naging leader po sa pagko-clone, guys, ng sheep. So that's your molecular genetics, guys. Now let's go to the population genetics. Again, when we say population genetics, guys, this is all about evolution. So, sabi dito, population genetics is the study of allele frequency distribution and change under the influence of the four main evolutionary processes. Namely, we have the natural selection, genetic drift, gene flow, and mutation. So, guys, no, bakit kaya nabanggit dyan ang allele frequency distribution? Because as time goes by, okay, sabi nga natin, meron tayong mga dominant and recessive gene po na tinatawag. Okay? And since may mga recessive tayo, as time goes by guys, may mga nagdi-diminish po na mga recessive genes. Okay? That's why allele frequency distribution is under the population genetics. Okay. To furtherly understand population genetics, guys, this is concerned with the genetic constitution of population and how this constitution changes with time. Kaya nga sabi natin ulit, kanina ano nga yun? We are referring to the evolution or the what happens as time goes by, what are the adaptations that a certain species do. Okay? And when we say population naman, these are a set of organisms in which any pair of members can breed together, and this implies that all members belong to the same species and live near each other. As long as they are in the same species and they breed together, what will happen? Okay, that is population genetics. And again, we have said that there are four main processes involved. So first, let's talk about the natural selection. Again, define na natin to kanina. So let's define this again. So this is the process by which heritable traits that make it more likely for an organism to survive and successfully reproduce become more common in the population over successive generation. In short, what happens, okay, as time goes by, that is your natural selection. What are the traits, characteristics that could be observed, okay, as there are changes with the environment, natural selection po yan. Genetic drift naman, the change in relative frequency in which a gene variant or the allele itself occurs in a population due to random sampling and chance. Dito guys, genetic drift guys, si allele frequency ang pinag-uusapan natin dito. Again, anong yung sabi ko kanina? No guys, meron tayong dominant, meron tayong recessive genes guys, no? And kapag guys, no, mas marami na ang dominant guys, yung mga recessive genes po natin, no? Nawawala po yan as time goes by. Kaya nga, pansinin ninyo, no? Let's say for example, sa isang family guys, 'di ba? Kapag may naihalo po, let's say for example na kapag kayong magkakapatid ay maiitim, tapos yung isang kapatid niyo nag-asawa ng maputi, guys, no? Pwedeng maging light yung color ng isang anak nila. Okay? So it has something to do with genetic drift. Tapos as time goes by, as the generation, guys, no, paputi ng paputi yung mga magkakapatid or yung mga apo na napoproduce. Genetic drift po iyon. Okay? Next, we also have mutation. For the mutation, guys, this is the changes in the DNA sequence of a cell genome that are caused by various factors, guys. Namely, we have the radiation, viruses, transposons, and mutagenic chemicals. All of these factors, guys, can contribute to mutation. A good example, guys, is that when a pregnant woman, guys, no, undergo X-ray, guys, no, they are exposed to radiation. And what might happen? The baby or the fetus itself, kapag naipanganak na po, naging tao na after 9 months, guys, no, biglang magugulat ka, bakit kaya, guys, no, may patsi-patsi, bakit may albinism po yung isang baby? Maybe it has something to do with mutation. Nasira po yung kanyang DNA sequence kasi nga na-expose po siya saan? Sa radiation. Kaya guys, laging tatandaan, kapag buntis ka po, bawal ka pong magpa-x-ray. O kundi kaya, tayo guys naman, no, na nasa working class, o kundi kaya, no, kami na nasa working class, no? Kasi for example, na-x-ray kami ngayon. Anong sinasabi normally ng mga doctors, ng mga rad tech, di ba? Sinasabi, okay, pwede po kayong magpa-x-ray after 6 months ulit. Bakit? Because if we are always exposed to radiation, there might some changes that will happen on our body, specifically on our cells. And this is one of the reason why guys nagkakaroon po ng cancer yung mga tao po because of certain factors, no? And one of that guys is radiation. Okay, kaya mutagenic chemicals. Yung mga chemicals guys na mga iniinom, pinapahid natin, pwede rin po yan mag-cause guys ng mutation. Okay? We also have the gene flow. For the gene flow, guys, this is the exchange of genes between populations, which are usually of the same species. And a good example for this one, guys, is migration and then breeding, okay, of organisms. Like for, okay, kaya to furtherly explain that, let's say for example, we Filipinos, guys, no, there are some of us that want a good or beautiful, okay, maganda, gwapo na mga anak, 'di ba? Anong ginagawa ngayon ng mga Filipino? Pumupunta sa ibang country. Tapos anong ending, no? Pwedeng mag-asawa ng mga foreigners, okay? Western, ganyan, kasi gusto ng blue eyes, o kaya gusto ng matangkad na anak, nag-aasawa ng mga foreigners, people from other countries, same species, di ba? So that is gene flow. Kung sino yung mas malakas na gene, guys, sila yung mananalo. Sino ang mas dominant? Gene flow po yan, guys. Okay? Okay, guys, sa mga hayop, 'di ba? Sa mga hayop, bakit bigla ang daming lumalabas ngayon na breed? Let's say for example ng aso. Gene flow din po 'yan kasi pinag-mate po natin or binibreed natin yung mga animals din natin. Gene flow din po 'yon. Okay? And next, guys, now we have methods of genetic study. For this one, guys, we have the what we call a cytogenetics testing, in which, since we have the word cytogenetic testing, guys, it means to say that this type of testing, guys, is all about chromosomes. Okay? So, chromosomes po, ang tinetest natin kapag cytogenetic testing. While, when we say biochemical testing naman, our target, guys, is the examination of protein. So, the protein, guys, is our target. Bakit kaya protein ang pinag-aaralan natin dyan? Because it may have something to do with inborn errors of metabolism. Kaya sometimes some of us have diabetes maybe because there are some proteins, guys, na na nawawala, no? Sa ating system. Okay, kaya baka mamaya, a good example is the G6PD, glucose 6-phosphate, yung mga yan. NADH, yung mga yan, no? Biochemical testing po ang ginagamit natin para ma-detect yung mga yon. But let's say for example, we cannot test the protein, guys. We can go to molecular testing because direct DNA analysis po ang ginagawa dito. Lahat ng hindi kayang sagutin ng biochemical testing, molecular testing po ang ginagawa natin. Okay? We also have the what we call as genetic mapping. And genetic mapping, guys, is normally used for studying yung mga tinatawag natin guys ng mga rare inherited disorders. Specifically, those that has something to do with chromosomes. Okay, genetic mapping. And just to give you an idea, guys, no, let's say for example, sa isang family, guys, merong rare inherited disorder, tinitingnan natin, guys, kung sa mga succeeding generations ba pwede po ba yung maipasa, no? Kaya nga sa ibang countries, guys, legal ang abortion kasi kapag nakita nilang, let's say for example, yung baby autistic, no? Guys, ang ending, guys, no, baby pa lang, nasa tiyan pa lang, no? Ayun, guys, pinapalaglag na nila. Genetic mapping po kasi ang ginagawa doon. Tinetest po yung amniotic fluid. Okay? Kasi ayaw na nilang mahirapan yung mga babies. Okay? At paano po ginagawa ang genetic mapping? We just have to collect samples. Like for example, blood, tissue, o kaya sinabi ko nga kanina na amniotic fluid, guys. And then, anong gagawin doon sa mga samples na yon? We will isolate the DNA. Okay? Once we have isolated the DNA, guys, we will look for the unique patterns. O kaya yung tinatawag natin, guys, na mga polymorphism or markers. Okay? Kapag present po ang isang marker, guys, no, na specific for the specific tag dito, inherited disorder, guys, no, ayan, pwede tayong magpalaglag ng bata. Pero sa country natin, guys, sa Philippines, hindi pa po legal ang abortion. Kaya kahit na merong sakit yung fetus, guys, no, ayan, bawal mo siyang i-abort. Pero sa ibang country, guys, pinapayagan na po, no? So kailan to ginagawa pala? Normally, guys, sa first trimester or sa second trimester guys na tinetest po yung mga samples natin or pinaperform na po ang genetic mapping natin guys. Okay? And we also have the what we call as the recombinant DNA technology. For the recombinant DNA technology, guys, no, we are utilizing the what we call as the restriction enzymes. And the restriction enzymes, guys, are normally used for what? For cutting a certain part of a DNA. Okay? And what will happen doon sa kinat natin, guys, na DNA? We will attach that to a carrier DNA molecule, and we call that as your vectors. And this, once we have attached the sequence, guys, no, nakinat natin sa carrier DNA molecule, we can transfer that or we can inoculate that on certain cells, like for example, sa mga bacteria, no, and what will happen, guys, no, pwede mag-produce tayo ng mga clones. Okay? So, bakit tayo guys kailangan mag-clone ng mga DNA guys? Because guys, yung mga na-clone natin guys, ng mga DNA guys, pwede po natin yung gamitin for what? For studying yung mga genes, pwede nating gamitin yan guys, no? For treatment in the future, or what will happen kapag nagkaroon tayo ng combination ng isang normal na gene tapos isang infected na gene. Pwede po ba nating makorek po yun? Ayan. Due to evolution. Ayan. No? Recombinant DNA technology po yan. Okay? And a good example, guys, is this one. No? On your screen, you will be able to see that a eukaryotic cell, specifically the DNA, guys, no, is what? It has been cutted using a restriction enzymes, and it has been incorporated to a certain fragment or a certain DNA portion of the plasmid na nakikita naman natin sa mga bacteria, and we will check guys no kung pwede bang masira nitong gene na to, for example, yung ating plasmid. Pwedeng ganon or kung ano man yung gusto mong malaman. Basta yan yung ating recombinant DNA technology. Okay? And we also have the what we call as biotechnology. The use of recombinant DNA technology and other molecular techniques, kahit ano pa yan, no? Itong ginamit lang natin dito, guys, na example is the recombinant DNA technology. We call that, guys, no, yung mga products na na-produce as biotechnology. And this biotechnology, guys, no, are, just to give you an idea, gamit na po yan ngayon pagdating, guys, sa agriculture. Kaya nga, pansinin ninyo, guys, no, meron na po tayong iba't ibang uri, for example, ng mga bigas, di ba? No, na kung saan mas pinapaganda natin, let's say for example, yung mga butil ng bigas, mas pinapalaki natin sila, mas pinapatibay natin yung mga palay, o kaya sa mga fruit bearing trees din naman, ginagamit na rin po yan, no? Kaya nga may tinatawag tayo ngayon, let's say for example, na apple mango. Dati wala naman yan. Pinag-combine na apple together with a mango o apple mango. Diba? Biotechnology po yan. Okay? Normally guys, ang biotechnology gamit na gamit yan guys sa agriculture talaga. Okay? And we also have guys, no, in the medical field also, biotechnology now guys is being utilized. Like for example, we want to study the human proteins. Ano nga yung pag sa human proteins guys? Ito guys yung mga inborn error of metabolism, di ba? Nabanggit natin kanina biochemical testing. So with the help of biotechnology guys, we can now correct, let's say for example, yung mga errors na nangyari sa katawan natin. So for treatment po siya. And also, biotechnology derived genetic testing is now available to perform prenatal diagnosis nga. Kaya nga in some countries, ang sabi ko kanina, no, kapag sa isang family, guys, merong existing na sakit, guys, no, pwede nilang ipatest yung sarili nila na kung yung pinagbubuntis nila, guys, is magiging abnormal, guys, pwede nilang ipalaglag. Kasi nga, ayun nga, guys, no, ayaw na nilang mahirapan yung baby pag lumaki pa to. At saka yung ibang mga babies din naman guys, no, tumatagal lang sila. Let's say for example, kapag may mga rare inherited disorder, ng few months up to few years po. Okay, so yun po. And we also have the what we call as genomics, proteomics, and bioinformatics. So for genomics, guys, always remember when we say genomics, guys, this is the branch of science that is all about the genome. Okay? They study the structure, the function, the evolution of various genes, guys. While proteomics naman, this is the study of proteins, guys. Okay? And bioinformatics is all about, guys, the nabanggit dyan, informatics. This is the information technology or the database that contains what? That contains all health related or all informations that has something to do with what? With the medical field. Okay, pwedeng kahit anong field pa yan, guys, no, ng medicine, guys, no. Lahat, basta tandaan ninyo, kapag gusto nating i-store yung information, guys, we call that as your bioinformatics. Okay, for bakit kaya tayo gumagamit ngayon ng bioinformatics? For is storage, retrieval, no? At saka analyzing of informations. Kaya nga, no? Pansinin ninyo, dati guys, no, sa mga picture kung luma yung ginagamit yung libro, guys, ang sabi doon, 'di ba, gumagamit pa sila ng mga rooms na kung saan nandun yung mga records ng mga patients. Okay? But nowadays, guys, ina-upload na lang po sa system para kahit na merong mga sakuna, no, may mga tsunami, merong earthquake, guys, at least pwedeng ma-recover sa internet yung mga information ng mga patients. So that is an example of bioinformatics. Next topic for this one, guys, we have the model organism. So normally, guys, model organisms are being utilized na dito sa pag-aaral natin sa genetics, guys, because as much as possible, guys, before we do experiments on humans, guys, no, dapat, guys, dumadaan po muna sa mga model organisms natin. And again, no, one of the mainly used model organism, guys, is the fruit fly or the Drosophila melanogaster po. And other than that, we also have the mice, no, yung mga mus musculus, guys, or yung mga tinatawag natin, guys, ng mga dagang costa. Okay? So, yan po, no? But pagdating natin sa midterms, guys, mas pag-aaralan pa po natin to. So now, bakit tayo gumagamit ng mga model organisms, guys? Because, guys, no, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, no, the reasons for using small number of organisms is because we can have genetic mechanisms where the same is most in the most organisms, and also these organisms had characteristics that made them specially suitable for genetic research. As long as they are suitable for genetic study, guys, we can use them as your model organisms. Oh, what are the other reasons? We could easily grow them. They have short life cycle. They produced many offspring, and their genetic analysis was fairly straightforward. We can easily observe yung ating expected result, guys. O, ayan, sabi dyan, no? Short life cycle. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, within few weeks, within few months, no? Guys, kaya nang maka-achieve ng adult form. Like for example, sa Drosophila melanogaster. Diba? Oh, also, other than that, they can produce many offspring. Okay? So, just imagine kapag sa tao ka agad, no? Eh, normally, isa, dalawa, tatlo lang naman ang pinapanganak, di ba? Swerte mo na kapag nakatatlo ka nga, di ba? Na isang irihan lang, may tatlo na kaagad. Eh, guys, kapag gumamit tayo ng mga model organisms, guys, mas marami pa dyan yung pwede nating makuhang mga model organism, di ba? There are instances, 12 ang anak, for example, ng daga, o hindi kaya ng kahit anong animal pa yan. O sa Drosophila melanogaster, guys, sa isang itlugan yan, guys, sobrang dami kaagad na mga larva ang pwede niyang ilabas, no? Eh sa tao ba? Gaano ba kadami, no? Sa history. Okay, sa history, guys, if I'm not mistaken, nito mga nasa 20th century na tayo, no? Nito mga 2020 ata yun kung hindi ako nagkakamali. Ang pinakamadami, guys, na ay pinanganak, no? Ng isahang gabi lang, guys, is 8. Diba? O 8 magkakapatid ka agad, diba? O at least isahang irihan lang, no? Eh, hindi naman lahat ng tao kaya mag-produce ng 8 kaagad, diba? Swertihan lang yon. So, that is the reason why hindi tayo gumagamit kaagad ng mga human samples, guys. No? Model organisms ang mga ginagamit natin. And this is the last slide, guys, no? What are the practical applications of genetics? So first, we have the establishing of identity. Normally, kapag may mga rape cases, yung mga yan, no? Oh, okay ka may mga murder cases, ayan guys, no? We can perform forensics. Lalo na kapag may mga blood yan dyan. O kaya kung anumang body fluid. Also, if you wanna know your history and ancestry po, okay, we can what? We can know. Baka mamaya kamag-anak nyo pala, yung isang artista, gusto mong malaman, no? Kaya kapalido mo siya. O kaya gusto mong malaman kung may dugong bughaw ka ba? Kamag-anak mo pala si Prince Charles, si Queen Elizabeth, or kung sino man no, na mga royal blood. O ayan, pwede nating alamin yan. No? Also in healthcare. O, sabi nga natin kanina, we can now use genetics for treatment, biotechnology. Diba? In agriculture, o breeding of different crops, and also on ecology. We can also use genetics, guys. So that's the end of our recorded presentation. If you have questions, guys, kindly raise your questions during our next meeting po. So thank you and have a good day, guys.